Good morning, students, and Jai Hind. Today we shall discuss about the second last chapter of your entire course. I suppose that, and I am going to teach you the second book. Understand? And from the second book, the topic will be the changes and development in industrial societies. Changes and development in the industrial societies we shall take up as a study today. And first of all, we shall see that what is the images of industries. Understand? Images of industrial society. How the industrial societies, now there is a agricultural society, or we have seen that how the agricultural society seems seen, or what is the agricultural structure in the villages in your previous uh, uh, topics, previous classes, how the village agriculture system is based, land system is there, and big farmers, small farmers, their employment, their migration, understand, or the impact on the agriculture. And even we have seen that what the global impact happened, or the multinational industries cast the impact upon the in the upon the our agriculture, and how the our agriculture pattern changed with the demand of the international markets. We have seen, or we have also seen that how the because of the land reforms, because of the market system, or the globalization, the pattern of the agriculture changed, and the relations between the agriculturist or the big farmers and the landless laborers, and the marginal farmers. These relations now, how this relation also changed, release pattern of the relation change in the village society, or the village basic patterns are being changed with the advent of the globalization or the multinationals company, even in the villages, understand, or in our agriculture sector or agricultural fields, how these changes are happening. We have seen that. Now students, in this chapter we shall see that now the industries, particularly the emergence of industries in India. First of all, we shall see that where the industries emerged, and what is the images of images of an industrial society, or what happens the in the industrial society, what the how looks it industrial society, what is its features of the industrial society, some features of the, in that context we shall see what are the features of industrial society, and how the many of the great works of sociologists were writing. Industrialization was a new, and the machinery was assuming great importance. Now we know that, yeah, particularly after the industrial revolution which occurred in the England, then after the industrialization, or the heavy machines began to be the implemented, began to be the used, heavy tools and machines began to be the used in the different parts of the world, in the different parts of the, or in the different field. The machine, the big machines, heavy machines occupied its place, and the towns and cities, understand, the towns and cities also now dominated and occupied by the working class or by the capitalist, understand. So this is the assume great importance, or we know that now the new thinking regarding the society a new thinking, a new thinking or sociology. Sociology emerged as a new discipline of the study, new course or the new subject emerged only after the industrial revolution, which now brought about a big structural change in a society. In a society, big structural change happened, and the working class and the capitalist class emerged. And because of that, understand, because of that, or a new democratic state also emerged. Okay, the transition, this under this transitional phase or the transitional phase, now the changes happened. The now statistics or the number system or the numbering numerical study of the citizens started. Understand? Or moreover, the survey began. Because of that, the scientific appliances and the application began to be the used in the sociological study, and now for that the sociology must have to be the established or installed as an independent discipline or the independent subject. So now this began. So now students, or that happened, or this independent or disciplined or scientific study now began even only after the industrial revolution. Understand, which occurred in the England, or a big social change happened. So this makes the society more dynamic, and moreover it also captured the attention of the great thinkers and the social thinkers towards it. Students, thinkers like the Karl Marx we know very well, and the Karl Marx, Max Weber, understand, or the Emile Durkheim associated a number of social features with industries. Now they have given the Karl Marx, the Max Weber, and the Emile Durkheim. They have now given a number of features of the industrial society. Now, social features with the industry, such as the urbanization. What is the social feature of industry? There is a urbanization, the loss of face-to-face relationship. Now we know very well that this face-to-face relationship is practiced in the village, in the villages, or in a closed society, in a closed society, in a ascribed society. Ascribed identity is there. Understand, in the villages. So this face-to-face relationship, which had been the feature of the urban rural society, that lost, that gone, because of the industrialization, and as well as that were found in the rural area. Face-to-face society, face-to-face acquaintances, understand, or the closeness. It is the features of the a rural area where people work on their own farms. In the rural area, the people used to work on their farms, or for a landlord. They knew two things were that I am talking about the rural society: the farms, big farms, and the landless workers. They work on the field of their masters, or their and the new, and their substitution by the anonymous professional relationship in the modern, but they were these features were completely substituted substituted by the anonymous professional relationship in modern factories. But as the modern factory emerged, this relation was substituted completely factory and the workers working places. Understand, this was the substituted by modern factories, and the working field substituted by modern factories and the workplace. Moreover, industrialization involves a detailed division of labor. Now we see that in the industries there must be a detailed division of the labors. Understand? the factory system. Many ranks are there, many segments or the many the kinds of the skilled people work. So this factory system functions on the division of labor strictly. People often don't see the end result of their work, and ultimately people don't see the end result of their work. It is the only based on the basis of the division of work. Only means, for example, a car manufacturer in a car manufacturing industry, only the different parts are produced and manufactured by the different compartment of the works, different works. Understand? Nut, bolts, and the handles and like that. Tires, these are the differently. And the person working there are very efficient in particularly and the one work. The when these all parts are coordinated and the joined together, so then after what happened? These parts are joined together, then the car is built. But these workers who are working in the different faculties or the different parts, understand, or the basis of division of labor, a particular they are skilled for a particular work, they have not to do with the final production of the final production. About that, they are not responsible for the final production of the car, and particularly industrialization involves a detailed division. People often don't see the end result of their work because they are producing only a small part of the products. Why? They don't have to be the associated and the concerned with the final, because they are only working for a particular parts of that goods, manufacturing a particular part of that car. So they will not be the associated with that. The work is often repetitive and the exhaustive, and this kind of the work is always repetitive and the exhausting work. Understand? If somebody works only one kind of the work, so this will not create the exhaustion and repetition. Although they can get the skill or not, but it is the exhausting. In the exhausting work, it even this better than having no work at all. But they are bound and they are compelled to work that because they had no work and they had no work. So that's why being unemployed, they now work that being better. It is the better to be the being the unemployed. These factors now force the worker to do this unwillingly work. Understand? Unwilling work. This only the unemployment factors is the force them to the work. Understand? And moreover, being unemployed, Marx called this situation as the Karl Marx have called this and given a term, the alienation. Alienation. Now called this kinds of the work alienation, means when people don't enjoy the work, when the people don't enjoy the work and see it as a something they have to do only in order to survive, only they are not interested at all, only they are doing that, they have to be the survive only for that they are the doing this work. Understand? And moreover, and even that survival depends on whether the technology has room for any human labor. Understand? Or they are only working if that technology has the room for the labor. If the technology will come, they will be the repressed and so further. So this is the now only the factors which or alienation means I suppose that despite their working, understand, they have no share at all, only or most of the profits are backed by the factory owners backed it. Most of them, only a little bit is given to the workers there. Understand? Or they had no any participation and share and participation, leave the share, only the wages they don't get. Understand? So this kind of a system, okay, is operating or existing in the factory system, and this must now the Karl Marx has a strongly criticized this tendency of this capitalism. Understand? He strike hard upon that. Okay, and moreover, industrialization. If you see the industrialization leads to greater equality. It is seen that okay, apart from the structural, if you see the structure, the in the Indian structure, for example, the Brahman, Kshatriya, and like that. In the old our traditional structure, in the feudal society, the first state, second state, third state, like that. Understand? But in a factory system, we see that industrialization leads to a greater equality, at least in some spheres, not the greater, not in the terms of the wages. Understand? In terms of the salaries, only in some spheres. For example, caste distinction. Only in that field, distinction don't matter. Here, in the feudal society, agricultural system, we see that in the caste distinction is there. Understand? But in the factory, distinction is completely eroded. It is a not felt, and although it is not completely, I can say. Understand? But somewhat, and a great extent, a far extent, it is the it no matter, and the more on a trains, buses. Now the as the industrialization happened, understand, the people and large scale people, the masses now, they travels in the trains. The where the caste does not matter. Who is sitting beside and in front, this does not matter. Who is untouchables and who is the upper class and the lower class, and like that, this does not exist. In the buses also, they rubbed their soldiers together, and in the cyber cafe, we can say that there is a no caste system there. Who is serving belong to the which caste, who is serving in the water and the food in the cafe and the anywhere. Understand? In the industrial system and in the urbanization system, this does not matter. Understand? So this is the features of the industrial and urbanized society. Caste distinction, on the other hand, older forms of discrimination may persist even in the new factory or workplace settings. Now, even then, in our country, this also still a little bit such kind of the caste system or the is now existing in working places or the factory places, even as the social inequalities are reducing, economic and income inequality is growing in the world. Although this is the one feature, another feature, the economic inequality is now being embraced. It is the being becoming the event or embracing the equal now having or emerging the equality on the world level. Often social inequality and income inequality overlaps, but sometimes we see that the social inequality and the income inequality is overlapping on the one, that for example, in domination of upper caste mean in well-paying professional, we can see that he is still in well kind of the organized professions like the medicine, law, and journalism. The upper classes, the well-to-do classes, family, and the caste are dominating there. Women often get the pay now the paid less than the men for the similar work. Or if we see that they are still in the our modern society or in our urbanized society, what do we see? They are, despite it had been given and written down in our Indian Constitution. Understand? Equal ways for equal work. and there will be the no distinction between the genders at the in the field of the work, at the working places, in terms of the wages. It is not followed. Understand? Still we can see that how these are the uh, not followed. And moreover, while the uh, early sociologists saw industrialization as both positive and negative, by the mid 20th century, it is the scene of the two aspects, two sides. It had the one, the positive sides, second, the negative side. Under the influence of modernization theory, industrialization came to be seen as the inevitable and positive. Now, according to the modernization theory, accordingly, if you see that, you show that this industrialization came to be seen as the inevitable. Inevitable means this is the inevitable historical events. Okay, from it is the on the basis see in the Europe, this is the industrialization and the modernization is the inevitable. How? The first we see that agricultural revolution happened there. Then after there the industrial revolution happened, and after the industrial revolution, we can see that large scale people and in the service sectors is the well developed there. Understand? So this is the process of the modernization theory. Understand? The first Europe, what the Europe perceived hundreds of 200 years before, 300 years before, those things are here. Now we are perceiving and we are adopting. Or why these changes are happening? Because it is the modern theory of inevitable. Understand? This is the inevitable. That will be the happened surely. The what the changes have been happened in the Europe way of thinking and in the industries and the agriculture, that will be the change here. And this is the process which the before the 100 years before the Europeans had gone, those we shall repeat here, and we are going to repeat here. Or why? Because it is the theory of the modernization theory of inevitability or inevitables. Understand? Inevitability we can say, and this is the positive. They say that this is the those who believe in this theory. They say that this is the positive. Understand? In a process we are the advancing. We are the making the progress. Modernization theory argues that societies are at different stages. Modernization theory, they argue that societies are at different stages on the roads to the modernization. I have talked the agricultural stages, industrial stages, then after the advanced stages in which the service sectors, all sectors are at a very progressive and at the made the tremendous advancements. So this is the theory of the modernization, and now here, but they are all heading in the same direction. Or it is also said that all societies of the world are heading towards the same direction. What happened in Europe, that will be the in Asia, and Asia will is passing through that the changes and transformation which the Europe had gone. Okay, here the Asian countries are now passing through. Those changes are coming here, and moreover, and the modern society for these theorists is represented by the West, or this theory is particularly the modern society theories has been given by the Western thinkers. By the Western thinkers, they have given this theory. Understand? They have now paid. Second thing is that a specific of Indian industrialization. Now let's see that what the Indian industrialization में क्या specific है. How this is the quite different from the Western industrialization system. And the experience of industrialization in India many ways similar to the Western model. हमारे यहाँ का जो industrial system है that is the based on completely on the Western model, because after the advent of the Britishers in India, understand, many industries in textile industry, cement, iron and steel industries were the beginning of in our industries. And as the India came into the contact with the British Empire or the British Raj, or comparative analysis of the different countries suggest that there is no standard model of industrial capitalism. अगर देखा जाए, compare, if you compare the other parts of the world, so there is no standard model of industrial capitalism. Let's start with one point of difference. First, relating to what kind of the workplace are doing in developed countries. The majority of people are we have to be the here compare the industrial status of the West or the industrial status in the India or the East, particularly the developing countries, and the develop. What is the difference of in terms of the industry from the Western, from the West and the East? The first is that now in developed countries, majority of people are in the service sectors. In the developed country, majority of people are working in the service sectors and followed by industries. Okay, I have already mentioned, and less than the 10% are in agriculture. International Labour Organization के figure के accordingly, according to the International Labour Organization figure, understand, only the 10% people are working in the agriculture there. Understand, and 90% people are whether in the industrial sectors or they are in the service sectors in the Western countries. So here the compare, or in India, let's compare with our country. हमारे देश में क्या है, 1999 to 2000, nearly 60% employed in the primary sectors. No, 60% of the population are working in agriculture. They are deployed, and not they are, or you know that in the primary sectors there is a disguised unemployment. The hidden unemployment is there, and but in the hidden unemployment, 60% are people are employed there. Understand? Almost the 60% or moreover were employed in the primary sectors, agriculture or the mining. 60%. Moreover, 17% are the secondary sector. हमारे यहाँ in our country, the almost the 70s for 17% are in the manufacturing centers, and they are the working construction or utilizing utilities. More than 23% are in the tertiary sectors. In the service sectors, 23% like the trade, transportation, financial services, and like that. And however, if we look at the contribution of these sectors of economic growth, अगर in respect of economic growth में या GDP में contributions, if you see that what is the contribution of this in the GDP, the share of the agriculture declined very sharply. Understand? Agriculture service contribution approximately 50% service sectors is the share is giving in our national income. Understand? 50% are coming, and this is the very serious situation, because it means that sectors where the maximum people are employed is not able to generate, or sectors where the maximum people are employed 60% is not generating the income to our country, much income for them, or they are not generating the income. 60% people are failed to generate the income for our national growth. Understand? So now this is the comparison of and so that is why our sectors if you see compare the Western, or particularly one thing is that कि वेस्टर्न जो फेज प्रोग्रेस ऑफ फेज हैपेंड हाउ दिस हैपेंड थ्रू द एग्रीकल्चर फर्स्ट डेवलप देयर then after the industries develop and after that service sectors in our country agriculture doubtful development a half-hearted development industries no development only a 17 only a very little extent or in service sector a, a very some extent. So under this condition we have not made our progress in phase or in the phase wise or in a proper historical processes. No, we jump to the service sectors, leaving the industrial sectors backed and lagged. So this is a very unplanned and misplanned development of the India. Understand? That is why we are the lagging behind the rest of the world. Okay, I suppose that. Okay, students. Next, we are just going to study in the next period. The further discussions I will do. Okay. Thank you very much.